After years of content darkness, your boy Big Time Beans has decided to come out of retirement to make another Draft League video. Hello all my beautiful people, and welcome to the Global Pokémon Alliance. This is a 12-coach league where every week we will be uploading a battle of the team that we have drafted under a brand new team name, the Cleveland Bewares. Guys, I am so excited for this, but first, if you guys are excited for a brand new draft league, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like button, all the buttons. I don't really know if it matters, but hey, we're just here for the fun, here for the memes, all that matters. If you're watching this video, you might be confused on two things. One, who am I? And two, what is Draft League? To answer the first question, if you're seeing this video, you should know who I am. I have never gone by any other names. It's always been Big Time Beans. Yep, never any other. I'm not known as anything else, just Beans. As for what draft is, well, coaches, in this case 12, are going to take turns picking different value Pokemon, and every week battling with those Pokemon. Every week these teams are going to be tailored to take on the opposing coach's team, which makes for really interesting and creative battling processes. Now, different Pokemon are valued at different prices. For example, Garchomp is going to be 17 points, whereas a Mon like Pikachu is only going to be 1 point. To ensure that teams are fair and balanced, each team only gets 120 points, as well as slots of only 10 to 12 Pokemon to fill out a team. In addition to that, we only get 30 Terra points that we have to spend on 2 to 3 different Pokemon below 12 points. That's enough of the introduction. With everything out of the way, let's get into my team. I was super fortunate and I was able to pick 5 out of 12 coaches, and I wanted to go something a little bit different. While there were super busted Pokemon like Meowscarada, Dragapult, and Great Tusk left on the board, I've used those Pokemon before. And seeing as this is probably the last draft of Generation 9, I wanted to use something that I've never used before. Additionally, I have a lot of real life stuff going on. I just am about to start a new job at the end of this month, and that means I'm moving, so I don't have just a ton of time to dedicate to everything. So I wanted to draft something that I was going to have fun with. And in my eyes, there was one Pokemon that had really stuck out to me for a very long time, and I just knew I had to pick up. And my first round pick at 17 points is the Pokemon Terapagos. Terapagos is a Pokemon that I am not familiar with at all. However, I know 3 things about it. 1, its stats really balanced and really fantastic. 2, its ability is one of the best in the game, allowing it to take not super effective damage on the first round that it takes damage. 3rd, its coverage is absolutely insane. Not only is it a really effective Rapid Spinner, the value of which only gets more exponential when you realize that really good Rapid Spinners are super hard to come by this generation, but Terra Starstorm, its signature move, is one of the most spammable in the format, and its coverage options like Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, and Meteor Beam are some of the best in the game. Judging by everyone's reaction in chat when I drafted this thing, I think I sniped an absolute ton of people, and I'm really excited to use my first overall pick. Not to mention the fact that it's only 17 points means that I have the ability to go out and get really broken Pokemon further down the line when the best of the best have been taken. Surprise me. This is normally a top 10 draft pick, and while I pass it up personally because I've used it in the past, it's not something that if it's left in round 2 you let slide. It is one of the best Pokemon in the game. It's one of the fastest, it's one of the most versatile, and it is one of the most dangerous. I'm of course talking about the Grass Dark starter Meowscarada. Now, this is a very min-maxed Pokemon. It is 110 base attack, 123 base speed, not super bulky, but it does get access to things like Toxic Spikes, which allows it to fulfill a very supportive role. Essentially what this Pokemon is Greninja, but better, because it has the Protean ability. The Protean ability allows it to gain stab on every single one of its hits, as long as it is the first move that it's used, because they had to nerf it because of how good Libero was on Cinderace. But regardless, this Pokemon has just absolutely dominated draft since the beginning of Generation 9. This thing does everything that I want an offensive Pokemon to do. It provides pivoting with U-turn, this thing gives me Toxic Spikes, this gives me, honestly, a really solid Dragon Killer with Protean Triple Axle. Genuinely, I am so excited to use this thing. I think it's going to be really fantastic. Going into the third round, I knew that I needed to pick up some more firepower because currently my team, while bulky and fast thanks to Meowscarada, is not hitting very hard. A lot of the stuff that I wanted at the time, such as Iron Moth and Raging Bolt, were taken right before I could snag them, so I was forced to go back to the drawing board. What I came up with instead was one of the elite, and I do mean elite, wall breakers in the format. The Gen 5 legendary Kyurem. Base form Kyurem is an extremely bulky and balanced mixed attacker with access to sets such as Loaded Dice Dragon Dance with Scale Shot and Icicle Spear, as well as just choice specs nuke sets with Ice Beam and Draco Meteor. With options to hit on both sides, it is an extremely difficult threat to prep for, and I think it will be an excellent partner with Meowscarada as it allows pivoting options for this Pokemon to come in. With really amazing coverage on both sides of the spectrum with things like Focus Blast and Earth Power, as well as Screens, Body Press, Dragon Tail, Weather Ball, I think this thing is going to be a really fun bring whenever it does come. One thing of note is that this is expanding on my team's fighting weakness, but in this case I think it's okay because Terapagos actually pairs really well with Kyurem. Kyurem does not want to deal with rocks to the point that it will oftentimes just run heavy duty boots instead of worrying about it, whereas Terapagos is a genuinely really great rapid spinner that I think is going to pair very nicely. Heading into round 4, I knew I needed to shore up my team's biggest weakness, which at this point was fighting. I didn't really see a lot of great options that I loved, but I did have my eye on 2 different Pokemon, one that I pick up here and one that I pick up later in the draft. I really wanted some Intimidate support, and additionally I wanted some flying coverage, so with my 4th pick, I went and got another Gen 5 legendary, Landorus Therian. Now, Lando T in Generation 9 hasn't been what it used to be, which is fine because what it used to be was a top 3 draft pick. It lost access to things like knockoff that makes it less valuable. However, for this team, I think it fills a perfect niche, which is as a defensive pivot. With access to U-turn and Intimidate with pretty good bulk, 89 health, 90 defense, 80 special defense, this thing acts as a really solid drop-in, switch-out sort of Pokemon. With access to Swords Dance and 145 attack, this thing can also hit extremely hard offensively, which was what made it such a threat in prior generations. Something to not completely sleep on is its 105 attack. It has really solid coverage in things like Sludge Wave and Scorching Sands, so don't be surprised if I bring it, even though its incarnate form is far superior at running a special variant. While not quite what it used to be, I really think Lando T provides an invaluable role in this team, and I'm really excited to see what it can do this season. Heading into round 5, I now consider the draft firmly in the mid-rounds. This is typically where I like to pick up a lot of my support options, maybe some more defensive components, just anything that's going to help support some of my more offensive picks earlier in the draft. Looking around at the teams in this draft at this point, some really elite fairy options like Primarina, Fluttermane, Iron Valiant, and Hatterene were already off the board, so I wanted to stake my claim as a fairy type. Now, options like Florges and Sylveon and Clefable and Comfey were still on the board, but I wanted to take something that I have not had the chance to use in Gen 8 or Gen 9, and I'm so excited to pick this thing up. I think it was a bit of a reach, but with my 5th overall pick, I went out and got Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is one of those really quirky Pokemon who has a really high ceiling, but also a really, really low floor. It just depends on how you use it. It's something to be said for the fact that its worst ability is Misty Terrain, one of the most busted abilities in the game, because its other 2 abilities, Levitate and Neutralizing Gas, are even better somehow. Levitate granting it an immunity, and Neutralizing Gas completely denying certain Pokemons of their viability. On top of that, it is a really bulky Pokemon with great support options and Toxic Spikes and Will-O-Wisp, while also not being completely passive with options like Strange Team, Sludge Bomb, and Flamethrower. I think this thing is going to fit in really nicely on the team. It's going to provide a lot of support, and it's just going to give me an extra layer and dimension of building this season. Heading into round 6, I knew I had to pick up my Psychic type, because there were only a handful of really elite ones left. I could have settled for something like Farigiraf later in the draft, but I wanted to pick up something that is going to just make sure that Terapagos has no issues against these fighting types. In my mind, there are only 2 options. The first, Jirachi, a Pokemon I have used a ton in the past and to really good effect. But there is something there that I haven't used since Generation 7. In the spirit of continuing to draft a team like I am a 12-year-old again and just picking the coolest looking Pokemon, I decided to go with Necrozma. This Gen 7 legendary has access to incredible stats, including a 107 base attack, 127 base defense, and a 97, 101, 89 defensive spread, a crazy busted signature move in Photon Geyser, and an even better ability in Prism Armor. Photon Geyser acts as essentially Twisted Spoon boosted Psychic or Zen Headbutt depending on my offensive investment. If I want to run a physical variant with things like Earthquake and Knockoff, I can do that. If I want to run a special variant with moves like Meteor Beam, I can also do that. In addition to its offensive move pool, Necrozma also gets access to moves such as Light Screen and Reflect, Stealth Rock, as well as Trick Room. This thing is an excellent support Pokemon for my more dangerous pawns like Kyurem, Terapagos, and Meowscarada. It also has multiple ways of healing itself with Moonlight and Morning Sun, which works excellently with its ability Prism Armor, a clone of Filter, making it take 3 force damage from super effective hits. Necrozma is a super versatile Pokemon that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it functions in Generation 9 draft. Like I said, I haven't used this thing since Generation 7, and while it has lost a couple of tools like Rock Polish and Atomize, sets I love to run with it, I'm really thinking that on this team specifically, it's going to help with the defensive backbone so much. Heading into round 7 here, I was really looking primarily for value. As we enter these later rounds, it's really going to be these lower tier picks that fully round out the team and help fill a lot of holes that otherwise aren't looking super good for me. At this point in the draft, I'm just looking for mons that are going to most effectively use my points. I'm looking for value. For my team specifically, the 2 things I really needed was a Steel type and a Fighting type. And guys, I think I found one of the coolest Pokemon that I can use. Finally taking a Terra Captain, in round 7, I picked up Lucario at 10 points to be a Terra Captain. I'm really excited about this pick for 2 reasons. The first is that Lucario is an excellent mix attacker, which at this point my team just excels at. In draft format, mix attackers that are able to set up specifically tend to have a lot of success. And I'm on like Lucario, where you can bulk up in Sword Stance and then hit you with either a Close Combat or a Meteor Mash, or click Nasty Plot and hit you with an Aura Sphere or a Flash Cannon. I think this thing is really fantastic. But also, as a Terra Captain, we kind of messed up by allowing this thing. So a little bit of backstory, I was one of the people that was helping set the tiers with the creation of this league. I'm one of the moderators, and something we wanted to make a point of was kind of letting broken stuff fly, but we tried to make it a point to Terra ban things like Arcanine and Entei so that we wouldn't have to deal with Terra normal E-Speed. We forgot about Lucario. So, our mistake, my benefit. I 100% plan on cleaning games with Terra Normal Lucario. I'm super excited to try it out. It is a mon that I have not had a ton of success with in draft in the past. I'm really hoping to get through that though. I'm so excited to use this thing and I'm so happy it's a Terra Captain. As I mentioned, coming into these later rounds, I was just really looking for value. And at this point, my team missed spam ability. Don't get me wrong, don't hear what I'm not saying. Kyurem is very spammable. Earthquake from Landers, very spammable. Meowscarada Flower Trick, one of the most spammable moves in the game. But I still wanted something with a little bit more firepower, you know? Right now, I have a lot of setup sweepers, I have a lot of cleaners, I don't have a lot of dedicated breakers. I want a stupid proof drop-in, click a button claim a kill, or at the very least 70%. And I think I found one. For 5 points, another Terra Captain, the Hisui starter, Typhlosion. I swear, I'm only drafting Pokemon that, like, I think a 9-year-old Beans would draft. I swear. That being said, Hisuian Typhlosion gives me a lot of things. As a Terra Captain, first off, this thing is able to just absolutely clean house in certain situations because it does have 119 special attack and 95 base speed. That is really respectable for a wall breaker, even in the Power Creep Generation 9. But more importantly, this thing gives me Terrafire Eruption. Like, that's it. Terrafire Eruption. I mean, Overheat, Shadow Ball, fine. I'm saying it like there aren't any other sets. There are definitely other sets. Like, it has Frisk. It has pretty respectable bulk. 73, 78, 85. Not bad. But, yeah, no. This thing is going to be a wall breaker for this team. It helps that Eruption is one of the most spammable moves in the game with the Choice Scarf, and Shadow Ball spam is just so good. In addition to that, making that a Terra Captain, giving it a little bit more oomph on its coverage, maybe giving it some defensive presence. Something I really think is going to be fine. And at 5 points, I really cannot ask for more value. Heading into round 9, I'm looking to just patch holes on my team. I think I have my core set of guys. I think it's just really time to start filling in some of the cracks. And one of the things that I'm lacking right now is a fast electric type. Having something that is going to be able to volt switch around, fire off a Thunderbolt or two, get in, get out, is going to be really valuable for this style of team where pivoting is going to be really important. Now, in the lower tiers, there are some okay options. There are some less than okay options. The one I picked up is, in my opinion, the best of the okay. And it is because it has the most decent of stats, has the best ability, I suppose, and is pretty cheap for the value I'm getting, especially with all the coverage moves this thing gets. I am so excited to introduce the third Terra Captain, Raichu. 110 base speed, 90 attack, 90 special attack. This thing, mixed attacker, I'm just going to say it. And you know what? It has the coverage to do so. Raichu is in like a super interesting position because it is the evolution of Pikachu. It just gets access to the most disgusting of moves. Why does an electric type have access to Draining Kiss, Iron Tail, Knockoff, Screens, Nasty Plot, Nuzzle, Play Rough, Quick Attack, Endeavor, Break? I mean, genuinely. Surf? Why does this thing need Surf? Why does this thing need Trailblaze? It gets Wish. This is my only Wish passer. Yeah, Raichu is a stupid little Pokemon. At 4 points, as a Terra Captain, I can give it access to Ice Beam in Terra Ice, Terra Blast. So, cool Pokemon. Plus, the ability to Terrasilize can give it some defensive capabilities. Fat Rat is a thing. It does get Wish. So, that's something. Raichu just provides a very important role at a very good value, so it felt pertinent to pick up now. The reason that I grabbed it in round 9, I think this is round 9, instead of something like round 10 or 11, is because at this point, all the other Mons I wanted, no one was really going to take. The only other Mon that could have been taken was Raichu. So, yeah, round 9 Raichu. Let's get it. Looking at my team right now, by far, the two biggest weaknesses, oddly enough, are Bug and Rock. This next pick doesn't really help with either, but it's 4 points, and I just freaking love this guy. Regirock is such a stupid Pokemon. I love it so much. Okay, let me explain. Regirock is a dumb Pokemon because it has 100 base attack, 80 base health, 100 base special defense, 200 base defense, and it has access to Sturdy. So this thing just does not die in one hit on the physical side, which is sick, or in one hit in general. It has Sturdy. In all seriousness, having a Mon that has access to the elemental punches, Iron Defense plus Body Press, Stealth Rocks, all really, really good attributes at this point in the draft. I needed a Rock type. This kind of fell into a weird defensive support niche. Again, it has Sturdy, so it can be a great revenge killer. Something to keep in mind. Regirock is only really held back by the fact that it has no real recovery. It does have access to rest, which is typically how people run it. Take that as you will. I'm running out of things to say about some of these Pokemon. I don't know if you can tell. It does also get access to Thunder Wave, which is super nice, super good. That's a great tool for a support Pokemon to have. I don't have a script anymore. I'm kind of just riffing, but great Pokemon. It's gonna be a lot of fun if I bring it when I bring it, because we love Regirock in this. My team at this point is nearly complete. I have 2 more picks. I with the full 12, and yeah, at this point it's really slow. My fastest Pokemon is Meowscarada, and after that it's Raichu, and then after that it is Hisuian Typhlosion. Not great optics. So with 1 point, I went out and I took one of the greatest meme Pokemon of a generation, Kricketune, the Sticky Web Setter. Listen, for 1 point, all I can ask a Pokemon to do is force a little bit of prep and occasionally pose a threat, and surprisingly, this thing does. Mons like Kyurem and Terapagos and Lando T and Necrozma under Sticky Web, insane. Kricketune, while not being able to do any damage of its own, actually gets a lot of really fantastic support tools that give it a lot of viability. Things like Parasong and Knockoff and Baton Pass. Things that I can just throw on a set and be a disruptor. Sticky Web alone makes this thing drafting, but also access moves like Taunt, Lunge, and Endeavor make it something that I really think can be a lot of fun to bring once or twice in a season. Coming into the final round, this is what it is all accumulated to. This is a Pokemon I have wanted to take in Draft League since I started playing, frankly, but it has always been overshadowed. Another Pokemon has taken its role, its typing. I have never had an opportunity to draft this, and now, with such amazing value and only 6 points, another starter Pokemon, my personal favorite starter Pokemon, Feraligatr. Do not be fooled by this thing's stats. Shockingly bulky, 85, 183, super respectable for a water type. However, the main draw is access to Dragon Dance plus Sheer Force. Being able to have access to a +1 attack, Sheer Force Liquidation with a Life Orb is absolutely insane. And at 78 speed, it's actually not all that slow. This thing gets absolutely insane coverage thanks to Liquidation and in draft format. Moves like Psychic Fangs, Crunch, Lash Out, Ice Punch, Shadow Claw, Rock Slide. Insane cover option. There's more niche options you can run on it. It gets things like Counter, it gets Curse for setup, it gets Aqua Jet for priority, and it gets Flip Turn for momentum. Also, you can run this thing special with a Life Orb. It does get access to things like Ancient Power and Scald, Focus Blast, Ice Beam. Going back to setup for a second, it does also get Scale Shot plus Swords Dance, so it can be like, I don't know, Timu, Garchomp, whatever. This thing is really fun. It looks really cool. It's my favorite starter. My first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Gold. I have such a soft spot for the Totodile line. So pumped, so ready to use this thing. I'm so happy it's my water type. So guys, that is the team for the first season of the GPA. Your Cleveland Bewares are looking so good. Just some overall thoughts on the team before we wrap this video up for good. Some of the cons first. As I mentioned, I actually think this team is a little bit slow for my liking. I typically like to have 1 or 2 Mons over the 115 mark that are good pivoters. This team does not have that. Like I said, the fastest Mon is Meowscarada at 123, which is really great, but there was a reason that I felt the need to pick up webs. Secondly, I feel as though this team is like really top heavy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super hyped about the Raichu, Regirock, Kricketune, Feraligatr pick, especially the Feraligatr pick. But there's a large difference between my first couple, even up to like Necrozma, Lucario, and everything after that. I feel as though I may accidentally find myself in the trap of bringing some mixture of my top 6, top 7, throwing in the occasional low tier, which is not how I like to play draft. I've mostly had success in draft when I am using my 5, 6, 7 point Mon. I won a draft league on the back of Haunter. I do not like using my top tier picks. I don't know what it is. But I don't think having a top heavy team is necessarily a bad thing. It is just something I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. One final nitpick about the team. I'm not sure I love my Terra captains. Terra Lucario, I'm 100% keeping. And don't get me wrong, I love the idea of Terra Ice Raichu. Maybe some defensive Terras, as well as Terra Fire Eruption Typhlosion. But Regirock, Feraligatr, even Weezing are all mons that could benefit from the ability to Terrasilize. So, over the course of the season, who knows, we may see that change. That being said, some pros. Terapagos seems just like one of the most Pokemon ever. I didn't really think about this until halfway through recording this. Terra Shell is basically just multi-scale, but better. Which, on a Pokemon that either wants to stay alive forever, or wants to set up and sweep, or wants to guarantee hazards, that's pretty good. I think there's a lot of synergy between Pokemon like Terapagos and Meowscarada, Terapagos and Lando, Terapagos and Weezing. I think this is one of the first times that I've really built a team around my top pick. I think having something that can come in and clean games late, that can bust them open for Terapagos to sweep, things that can take a lot of its defensive pressure off, stuff that can take its hazard jobs away from it, stuff that can set up and sweep on their own. These are things that really fit into my playstyle, but also are going to enable Terapagos. I have a pretty solid flip turn core with Meowscarada, Landorus, I believe Necrozma gets Baton Pass, maybe not, but Raichu, Feraligatr, the ability, Kricketune has Baton Pass. So I feel like I have a lot of options to drop it in and do work with it. It's just going to be a matter of actually getting it. With that, I'm going to wrap up the video. I really am so thankful if you have made it to the very end. Please make sure to let me know what you guys are excited to see this season. Battles will be up every single Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Again, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.